In this instruction video we will show you how to set up and work correctly with the Bevel Tools EBA 3.0 and the EBA INOX. Before you start setting up the machine, make sure that you disconnect it from the power source. When placing a cutter, make sure you check the status of the adapter and shear pin. If one of these is damaged, you should replace the part in question first. This is vital to get the expected service time out of the cutters. If you place the cutter on the adapter, make sure the pinhole of the cutter covers the shear pin on the adapter correctly. The cutter must now be mounted flush on the adapter when you have done this. Fasten the cutter with the guide bearing that comes with the cutter. Always keep these two together when you change the cutters. To prevent the spindle from rotating, press the locking button of the machine. Apply the proper torque to tighten the guide bearing. Make sure to bend the provided hex key wrench 3 times to know the right torque spec is applied. Setting the correct depth. When adjusting the flange head, you can hear little clicks every 45 degrees when you rotate the adjustment sleeve. Each click is signaling that the depth is adjusted with 1/4 of a millimeter. So, 4 clicks in the same direction means 1 millimeter difference in height. When beveling, it is important to take multiple passes to avoid putting too much stress on the cutter. This is especially important when beveling deeper than 4 mm. To bevel to a depth of 8 mm, divide the bevel in 2 passes. To bevel to a depth of 12 mm, divide the bevel into 3 passes. When using the EBA INOX, use 3 steps to reach a depth of 8 mm. When applying a rounding, make sure the flange is aligned with the start of the cutter's radial arc. Incorrect setup can lead to an incomplete arc or a small ridge on the edge of the metal side. When cutting the edge, it's very important that the guide bearing has enough support from the edge of your workpiece. The minimum amount is about 1.5 to 2 mm of support. When the remaining height of the edge is lower than 1.5 mm, you need a mold or use the optional Bevel Mate guide. In most cases, the flange will be placed horizontal on the workpiece. In this case, the chips will fall down below the flange. It's possible though to turn the flange in a vertical position. This will allow you to circumvent the guide bearing surface problem. Be aware though that chips will fly upwards, to the right, left and downwards. When cutting edges of lighter workpieces, make sure these are clamped properly on a sturdy surface. This will prevent the workpiece from sliding away during the cutting process, and will decrease vibrations. Remove slag and other deformations around the edge, if present. You can add some lubrication, especially when doing cutting jobs on stainless steel. Make sure you wear your PPE. And plug in the power plug. Set the speed to the highest position, which is 6. With stronger or harder materials, lower the speed of the machine. Keep the machine on the left side of your body. Place the edge of the flange on the metal sheet, bar, or workpiece without touching the metal with the cutter. Touching the metal edge with a stationary cutting head can cause minor damage to the cutter, which can decrease the lifetime substantially. Now turn on the machine and press the cutter from your left side into the edge. Be aware of some recoil of the cutter when it grabs the edge. Hear and feel when the cutter has reached the correct cutting depth, and the guide bearing is touching the side of the metal. Slowly turn the machine during the first inches you are cutting. You will reach the position where you can push the machine forward, in an angle of circa 45 degrees facing to the right. Keep the machine in this position while moving forward. The forward speed of the machine is important to keep the cutter fed. This is the most important way to increase the lifetime. When you reach the right forward speed, you will hear the speed of the motor dip in. Adding some cutting oil, grease, or foam can give a cleaner end result and can lengthen the service time of a cutter. Working with the EBA INOX is somewhat more intensive than working with the EBA 3.0 on, for example, construction steel. Make sure the cutter is fed enough material to increase chip thickness and lifetime. Your forward speed will be somewhat slower because of the stainless steel's characteristics. Always make sure the workpiece is tightened, so it can't move or start vibrating. Thanks for watching.